This is a very interesting and important topic for you if you are trying to self-learn art, or if you know someone who is trying to study something on their own. If so, please share everything you'll hear in this video with them. Today, I will tell you how to get the most of being self-taught and go over drawbacks of this learning style. I'll give you advice on what to do when you come across those pitfalls. We'll look at some myths and self-limiting beliefs connected with self-teaching practices, and what to do when practice doesn't make perfect. I will also give you a 3-step solution to really smash these stumbling blocks out of the way. All of this in this video. Hi, I'm Leila, and I have been a professional artist and a teacher for almost 25 years. I've experienced both self-teaching style, as I bring new techniques and innovative materials into my professional practice, and I've studied art in a formal way in different countries through courses and tertiary studies. I even have a postgraduate degree in fine arts. I've exhibited in dealer and public galleries all over the world. So if you have any questions on the best way to set up your art career, let me know in the comments below. So let's start from the beginning and look at some positives and negatives of going through the teaching yourself method. I've got a few notes here that I'll be looking at so that I don't miss out and forget to tell you something in the video. So these are handwritten notes, so I'm very old school, and this is probably a treasure chest of spelling mistakes. English is not my first language, and the spelling is the hardest. So first, let's have a look at the most obvious ones, okay? So number one, it's cheaper to be a self-taught artist. And if you actually compare tertiary fees, for example, if you're planning to go to university or weighing up whether I'll be better off being self-taught, this is a big thing. It is much cheaper to be self-taught. But there are certain things that sometimes I think people miss out on when they start to look at the financial aspect of it. And one of the main things is that you are very likely to overspend on materials, okay? Because when you are self-taught, especially when you're starting in the field that you know nothing about, you're going to over-purchase products. You're going to buy things that look good on the shelf, the art shop, or maybe someone in the video tried them and it was great, but you'll be buying them and you'll be disappointed in them because each one of us looks for specific things and specific qualities, and because you are starting out, you don't even know what qualities you are looking for. So you will be overspending on those things. Just make sure that you keep that in mind. My advice is that if you want to try something new, find a local art class in your area that provides materials. You go in there, that's how I run my classes. I always have more than one product that we'll be trying out. Like, for example, we'll be using pastels and acrylics and watercolor and some drawing materials throughout the course. And I provide these things so my students can try them out and they can feel for themselves whether it's something that they would really enjoy using, and maybe then they can go and buy a whole pack for themselves to use on their own terms, or whether it's something that they would actually pass on. And some things, like sometimes water mixable pastels and things like that, they look so cool, but I find that some people really love them and others actually hate them. So you never know what you're going to be into, but if you're going and you're spending hundreds of dollars on something you're going to try once, it's kind of a shame. So look out for the classes around you that can give you things to try out. If, for example, you can't do this, like, I don't know, maybe you live in the area where there are just no art classes, then my advice to you would be to go somewhere in the middle. So don't go for the cheapest things. Don't go for the most expensive things, because really what happens when you buy the really cheap thing, like a $3 brush, you are actually getting a really bad quality, right? Then if you go and you purchase a, I don't know, like a $25 brush, you will get a much better quality. Then you can go and you can buy a $100 brush. But the difference between the cheapest brush and the brush in the middle would be much greater of the quality improvement that you will get versus the one from the $25 brush to a $100 brush. So when you're starting up, try not to go and splurge on art materials just like that. Also, weigh up what is the most important material in that specific practice. For example, I know a lot of you guys who are watching me, you're into watercolor and mixed media, right? So if you are into watercolor and you're weighing up what to spend more money on, to buy more brushes, to buy more watercolor, or to buy paper, I'd say paper is the most important thing here. After that, brushes and paint only is the third one on the list of importance of creating an artwork. So make sure you research your subjects, ask around, watch some videos. And another thing to keep in mind is not to go on a shopping spree, okay, and buy all sorts of things all at once. This kind of brush, that kind of brush, this kind of pencil, that kind of pencil, 3 types of paper, because you are still in the process of finding what you find the most useful. So chances are, out of those 5 brushes that you'd buy, they'll be the one that you'd be loving and using the most. So maybe do them one at a time, you test it out, and then you get a feel for what you want. Do you want this or do you want that? And then you move in that direction. If you want to get some extra help from me, sign up to my Patreon page and send me a message, and together we'll be able to resolve many issues you might be having. There are other perks to pledging on Patreon. You'll get more tutorials, feedback on your art, and we'll also be supporting this channel as well. Being self-taught really helps you to do it at your own pace. So, for example, you can do it after work. Maybe you're a very busy person, right? You can do it on the weekends, maybe you have children, maybe you have grandchildren, all sorts of things in life around us. So you can actually fit your art learning together with your life without having to cancel work hours, without having to say no to your, weekly meetings with your parents or your friends or whoever, whatever you're doing, guys. Okay, so this is great. And it seems like a big plus as well for some people. But as liberating as it can be, you might end up postponing your art sessions because our friend called, I'm going to go out, see a movie, rather than say Tuesday night as your night that you do your art. My advice here is to make your practice fit your life rather than your life fit your practice. And how do you do that, you might ask? Well, what you want to do is you want to make sure that spare moments of your day are actually filled with like little art surprises. And I will show you what it is and how to do this. I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds of times better than scrolling on your phone, when you're waiting for a friend or you're on the bus or, something like that. And you can make it comfortable by having something like this on you. This is the smallest palette that I've ever had. I reached out to the Art Toolkit brand and they sent it to me, no questions asked. Thanks, guys. It's small, thin. It's also customizable, so you can check out their website where you can actually buy the little tins separately, and you can also fill them up with your own paint, or sometimes they can come in already filled up with paint, so it's up to you. I mean, when you unpackage it, it's so little. It's like a business card holder, that sort of a size, and to be honest, it doesn't really look impressive at first. But once you start using it, it is so comfortable to use, such a great design. And because those little pens are so shallow, it's really easy to get in there with your brush, which I find is such a plus. I love how thin it is as well. It just fits everywhere, really. Your pocket, your bag, anywhere. And I've actually packed it together with a sketchbook from a previous video. And I love when sketchbooks, especially the ones you use on the go, have pockets and have little loops for carrying your brushes and things like that. I just find it absolutely just so wonderful. I mean, if you're using it at home, you're probably not going to use it. But if you're using it on the go, it's the most perfect thing, really. What I will also do is I will leave all the non-affiliate links under the video for these products so you guys can have a look for yourself if it's something that you'd like to get. It's the little palette. It's not the cheapest thing that I've ever seen, but the design is definitely very, very useful, especially for what I'm doing here. Having something like this, like a little sketchbook and a little palette, if you don't want to use regular water, you can always opt out and have a water brush. I personally don't like using brushes for painting. You probably know that if you watch my videos. But what you can do is at any moment where you're sitting somewhere pretty much idle, right? You're waiting for something. Maybe arrive too early. Someone's being late. You're in the bus. You know, there's so many moments and we all have our own individual moments. Maybe you have a boring company that you have to face every week. Who knows? There's all sorts of things in our lifetime that we face sometimes that we don't want to do, or we're just, not busy. We're just sitting there. This is where a pack like this can be your absolute friend. All you have to do, you just pull this out and you do a little sketch. You can sketch fun things that are in front of you, boring things that are in front of you. You can turn your little sketchbook into a diary and write down what it is and what you like to do. Like when I did this sketch, I actually wrote down the brand of tea because I really liked that flavor that I got in the shop. And this is what I mean. This is where your practice fits into your life rather than trying to leave little gaps in your life to fit your practice in. You see what I mean? And that way you are practicing constantly, continuously. You are most likely sketching from life and so on. And even if you are an abstract painter, like your self-learning is abstract art, even then something like this can be very beneficial because there are different color combinations that you see and you can just whip up your paint and just sketch a little bit and do little notes and things like that. It's so useful to have something on you. It will really, really help to get more practice in, because it is one of the things that sometimes is missing out in the self-learning practice. Oh, and by the way, this little palette, it's not the cheapest thing that I've ever seen, but it is very, very convenient. And those of you who live in the USA, it might even be cheaper for you because this is where they shipped it from to me. So you might actually save some money on shipment there. Okay, now let's have a look at the next plus. And that is that you can do your self-learning practice in your own home. Like today is a very rainy day, very windy, and you don't want to go, you want to stay, maybe cuddle with your cat or something like that, have a cup of tea. And you don't have to be stuck in traffic. And sometimes, again, it might not even be a possibility for you to go somewhere because you live in the area where you have to move town to actually be able to get art classes or art school. And of course, the privacy of your own home. I mean, you can listen to the music, any kind of music you want while you're painting. I mean, you can, paint naked if that's your thing. You can do anything you want. That's pretty much the point I'm trying to make here. And some of you are actually telling me that you like to paint while you have my videos playing. So it's like I'm keeping you guys company. I always am so happy to hear those kind of things. It feels so nice, like it might be nighttime and I'm sleeping, but at the same time I'm keeping someone company while they're doing their art. I feel just makes me feel so nice hearing those things. Thank you guys for letting me know and for watching as well. Okay, but there is always a stumbling block, right? And so for this specific situation, the other side of the coin, there are actually two. One is that you can get uninspired Okay, you're all hyped up, you watch the video, you're hyped up one day and you sit down, you want to do all your stuff and you're so excited. And then the next day, that excitement's kind of gone, you know? And another thing is that people get lonely as well. If you really have set up a proper program for yourself and you're doing this, you can almost feel like, you know, you love doing this, you spend so much time doing this, and then you feel lonely. And I'm sure not everyone would feel that way. A lot of people who prefer art, you know, to do art as their hobby, actually people that like to stay by themselves, want to keep away from people. If you're one of those people, I'm sure you're 100% enjoying that alone time with your brushes and pencils and stuff. But if you're one of those people that likes to socialize, that likes to exchange ideas, there are plenty of artists like that too, you might feel lonely. And I've got different tips here as well that you guys might really help. So, the inspired part, you need to make it inspiring for yourself. Okay? How do you do that? Number one, you make your art place super accessible. If you're sitting there and you think, should I get up and do some painting? I probably should, but I have to go up to the attic and grab this box with all the paints and tools and whatever. You're probably gonna say, I'll do it tomorrow. And then the same thing happens tomorrow. So the best thing you can do is actually set up a little place, like maybe a desk. I mean, if you've got a separate room you can set up, that's the best. But I'm sort of talking about, you know, you're just starting up, it's something that you want to try. Maybe set up a little table. Doesn't even have to be a big desk. Can be like a small little, sort of like a school desk type of a thing. And even if you can't have that, maybe there's not enough space, you can at least have like a drawer in the desk that is just for art supplies there, and everything laid out so comfortably that when you feel that you want to do, it's really easy. You get into things much easier. I'm talking from experience. When you have to go and get things, you procrastinate all the time. So it's an important thing. So make sure you set up very easily accessible place for yourself. Number two, make that place inspirational for yourself. Like, for example, I mean, we all are a little bit different. So what is it that makes you want to sit down and paint or draw or whatever it is, whatever it is you're watching this video for, whatever you're trying to self-teach? Maybe it is little swatches of different colors, well, maybe you can have like a piece of your wall dedicated to that, where you can pin little things or stick them or whatever. I mean, it's all between you and your walls, how much damage you're prepared to do in the name of art. But it's so useful. You can even have a little board, maybe, like a little pin board that you can adapt to for your images and things like that. Maybe it's when you're looking at the brushes or paint or anything. So think about what it is that really is like an eye candy, for your art juices to like start flowing. So have those things on display. If it's tubes of paint, maybe perhaps give yourself like, those little transparent drawers you can get, and have them there. So every time you'll be going past them, you'd be sort of having a look and seeing those paint tubes waiting for you. Or maybe it's brushes or paper, whatever it is. Maybe it's plants, like I like having plants in my studio. Maybe it's books. It's different things for different people, but make sure that you have that there where your workspace is. So it kind of almost like set up like this little lure for yourself. And you will see how getting in there and sitting down, doing some work will actually be so much easier. Now let's talk about the loneliness that I've mentioned before. That usually happens when you've been doing things and you've been going quite successfully, and then you've done something, and for you it was like this thing that you wanted to achieve, and now you've done it. You saw this hack in some video or something like this, and you're like so excited. And then you've got no one to share it with, because maybe you live by yourself, or maybe your family is just so not into art that you'll show them and say, do you like this? And they're like, yeah. Why? IDK, so yeah, it's one of those things that you want to have a community. And there are different ways to find that similar-minded community. One is, of course, having a check and see if you've got any maybe evening classes or courses, one-day courses around where you live. That way you're actually going in there, you can make some friends and you can chat to people, and then you can do another course maybe together. You can discuss things and you can already like get together, maybe go and do like a plein air just together. It doesn't have to be like a teaching session. You can just get a small group of people and do that. If this is something that's quite difficult, again, maybe you're one of those people that sort of like you're kind of lonely, but it's very hard for you to make friends like this face to face, and it can be a bit overwhelming sometimes. I went through that stage, especially when I had no English. It was freaky. So making new friends, that was like, yeah, not the easiest thing, right? So what you can do is then you can find a community like this online. Probably not as good as having real people around looking at your work, discussing it, you looking at their work, sharing some kind of a, hey, I got this brush, it's really cool, that sort of a communication. But what you can do is at least maybe you can post your photos online and have people say something about it. Maybe you can see what other people are doing and communicate with them like this. Again, even online, you can communicate with people and then make friends. Like I'm kind of friends with lots of you guys, especially those of you who comment like under most of my videos. I kind of get to know your names and I'm like, hey, I know this guy or like this lady. Same happens on Patreon as well, especially with patrons that reach out and chat with me. So you kind of become almost like this friend community, where you're learning from each other and you're sharing your knowledge. Usually it's such a great and exciting thing. So yeah, and I've got a little note here. So there are lots of communities on Facebook as well. So like art communities, and specifically for watercolor, and they're specifically for styles, and there are even some communities where people share their photos for people to use as inspiration for their art, as props and things like that. And it's really interesting because people from all over the world share their things there. And you can look at these incredible animals that you would probably never see where you live, but over there it's a common thing. So it's great. So now let's have a look at some disinformation. And after that, I will give you the 3-step solution. What do I mean by disinformation? It's the smart advice that people give. Sometimes I even read as comments under videos, even some things that I've heard people say to each other. A lot of these things are just so far away from being the truth. And these are the things that sometimes slow people down and they feel like, oh, I probably don't have the talent and I probably am so not good at this. So, okay, let's have a look at this. This specific one I read in the comment section, not under my video, there was some other video, but I actually had to write it down because this was like the classic example of this. Okay, so someone said, if you claim that you are self-taught, you should only be learning through experimentation and not from the classes on YouTube, the videos on YouTube. Now, I have so many issues with this comment. Self-taught doesn't mean that you have to hide away, not talk to anyone, not see anyone's artworks, not like just on your own, just through your practice, you have to find a way. A lot of incredible discoveries do happen that way, through experimentation, through trying things for yourself. But how would I say it? Self-taught doesn't mean that you have to learn anything without help. And it's like this with anything, like a lot of the times people think art is very different from other disciplines. What if you're learning how to play guitar on your own? Do you have to shut down every single song that was written before you and just start like completely from scratch? Like humanity did not try to create all of these creations and these learning systems and these hacks and tricks and all sorts of things before you were born. To me, it seems very, very silly. To me, self-taught means self-directed. So, for example, I self-taught or taught myself how to edit videos, for example. I never went and did any courses, any classes. This was actually one of the scariest things for me. I'm not friends with computers, or I think they are not friends with me. Every time I sit at one, there's something starts to go wrong. I don't know what happens there, but I think I have this strange effect on them. Wrong buttons, maybe, I don't know. But I had to learn, and I had to learn through viewing different videos, through listening to what other people say is the best way to do it, what's the best way to set up, what's the best equipment, and so on and so on. And with help of my dear patrons, I could actually slowly upgrade my materials, get new cameras, get new microphones, and so on, slowly, as I've improved as well. So there's nothing wrong with going out there and sourcing things for yourself. So self-taught means, at least this is how I see it, means self-directed learning. And also, to add to this, remember, you can use books, you can use videos and tutorials, and you can easily go and sign up for classes to do a little bit of something to see how far you've gone. But in my opinion, or in my experience, books is probably the least helpful. It's helpful, but it's the least helpful. Because sometimes the way people word things, the way it's photographed, it can be a little bit misleading. Plus, everyone has their own perception in their mind what words mean. Like, for example, if I say a rose, the rose that you imagine now would be a different one from what I'm imagining. So when someone says, let's do this, they mean one thing, you mean the other thing, and you have no way of seeing it, you have no way of asking about it. So that's why I think books can be very helpful, very inspirational. But they are probably the most limiting tool of passing the knowledge from one person to the other. Things like videos, something like this, it's much better than books. Why? Because you see a live person talking. So you're not just reading what I'm saying. You see my face expressions, you see my gestures, you see my cat. There's a little bit more information there. When I'm showing you brushes, palettes, and things like that, you can see the actual materials, you can see how I'm using them. So instead of just pick up the brush, you can see if I'm holding it by the tip, if I'm holding it really close to the barrel, what I'm doing. So there's way more information that you are receiving from me, okay? Also, like my channel, for example, if you're wondering about something, leave a friendly comment and I will be replying to you as well, so then if there is some kind of a misunderstanding or you want to know something else, I'm there to clarify things or to give you extra information as well. And of course, the best thing is when you are actually in person doing a class, okay? Especially if it's a teacher who is skilled in that specific topic or that specific technique that you are willing to learn. They will be able to not just show you how to do things, they will be able to tell you what you're doing, like if you're trying to get a thin line but you're using your brush in this way and it's like a thick band all over your page, they'll be able to tell you, look, hang on, try this, try to hold it like that. So there is not just you seeing how they do it, there is that feedback as well, and correction as well, and also seeing someone do something in person. If you have questions, you can ask them right then and there, and they can explain it to you and show you stuff. So it's the best, again, in my opinion. But we all live in different circumstances, different finances, different areas where we live. We all have different personalities. Some people don't enjoy going out there and meeting other people. So it's all up to you. But what I'm just suggesting it here, and you can take away what you want. Now, another thing that pops up sometimes is, I think, like, one of those misdirected things that can sometimes bamboozle people who are trying to be a self-taught, say, watercolorist, for example. So, self-taught means untrained. So, it means that you are unskilled. So, if you say, well, I'm a self-taught this, it means you're nothing. And it again depends on so many things. If you are self-learning and you're really dedicated and you've been doing it for a while, you can be more skilled than someone who's actually just graduated from university, for example. As I see that there's just most successful people in life actually learn from others. So it doesn't always have to be a traditional classroom. You know what I mean? Like we still learn, but it doesn't have to be that sit down, answer, put your hand up to ask a question situation. It can be in so many ways, especially people who learn hands-on much better than they do through the classroom setup. So again, that's just don't even pay attention when someone says that. Okay, now next one. And this one was even actually said to me by one of the teachers when I was studying at university. Okay, so it's a very, very common one and it really gets to people, Okay, so you have to stay on trend and constantly look at what other artists are doing to sort of be current, whatever that even means. Number one, when you're learning things, you do need inspiration. So it is good to go to the galleries, look at things online and read books, all sorts of things. It is wonderful because it's going to give you more inspiration. But don't feel that just because what you're doing is a bit different from what you see everywhere else or everyone else doing, it's somehow devalued, or I can't even put it into words. Like, it just seems so weird, but it's so common. And as I said, this has even been said to me. Like, this is what the teacher at uni actually was telling us, And the thing is, you can pick up inspiration from other things, but your art, your own thing, it's coming from within you. So even if you see something and you think it's really cool, so now I'm going to be painting only trees in the fog because that's a trend, because this is what's all over the internet right now. And it is. I don't know why. It's everywhere. But you can try it once, twice, 3 times. If it's not you, you will move on from this anyway. And don't feel bad about doing that. I also want to add another thing, and that's doesn't matter if you're being self-taught, if you're going to university, if you're doing classes or whatever. This is something that's very important. Never compare your success of what you're doing and how you're learning to other people's success. You might be doing something and you feel really great about what you're doing, and then you go and you see someone else, and to you think that they're doing things better. And then you get disappointed. You never measure where you should be by what other people are doing. To be honest, I think it's not just art. I mean, it's anything like this. And life, like anything, would go according to this. So measure things, your success, by where you were yesterday to where you are now. So if you are better, if you are happier with what you're doing, if you're more inspired, if you learned something, even a little thing that you didn't know yesterday, you are already succeeding, okay? So always measure it to what you're doing, not to what someone else is doing. You can always find someone who is doing 10 times worse than you. You can always find someone who's doing 10 times better than you. Always focus on what you're doing. And I find that especially with art, I think people who are into art, they're very sensitive. We're a funny crowd like that. So I think sometimes when, especially when other people sort of say like, oh, this is not good enough, or, what you're doing is just a waste of time, or, well, by now you should have been painting this, but you're still painting this. And it can kind of like hurt, and then people start to really doubt themselves. Remember this video, if you're watching this now, remember this video, and whenever this happens, just sort of almost put like this guard on, and just remember, all you need to compare yourself to is how you were yesterday to how you are today. And then you can look forward to how much better you're even going to be tomorrow. Okay, and one other thing that is all over the place as well, is that you will naturally improve over time. Have you guys heard this one? Like you just going to improve over time. No matter what you're doing, like you can be doing whatever, you'll improve. And I think it's one of those things where you've heard this one as well. Practice makes perfect. And sometimes I use it, I'm guilty, of saying that as well. And it's kind of it's a very, it's a strange situation wherein sometimes this can be exactly the right thing, but sometimes it can be the worst thing. It can be the thing that can bring you to the point where you don't even want to try anymore. And I'm going to, this is weird. I'm actually going to go into my 3-step solution where I think like, if you guys can take away just one thing from this video, please watch this. Like this is all those other things I've mentioned are very, very important and they kind of enhance what I'm going to tell you now. But this is the spinal cord of your self-learning practice. This is where things can go wrong. And if they go wrong here, this is where it's really hard, to fix things with things I was talking about earlier. Okay, so 3-step learning system, solution, whatever you want to call it. So your step number 1, okay? So step number 1 is learning. This is where you receive the information. I've already mentioned books, videos, doing classes, doing whatever. This is where you receive the information. Make sure that information is diverse, but it is also quite coherent so that it is set up from the beginner to more and more advanced techniques. Okay, don't just sort of a patch here, there, over there. Today you watched a YouTube video on watercolor, then you've enrolled to do a little bit of oils, then you did this. It works for some people. If you're just doing this for fun, that's fine. But if you actually want to really teach yourself how to work properly, create artworks, maybe sell them in the future or whatever, you really want to have quite a sort of a proper and very step-by-step system that you are learning from. But any information, even watching videos, even doing anything, that's your number 1 learning step. Now your step number 2, okay, so we move on to the step number 2. Step number 2 is practice. All the things that I've said earlier about, having a little thing with you to take to paint, having your comfortable seating so that you feel very inspired to do work in those areas. It's all part of that. So practicing. And it is true, the more you practice, the better you will get. Until we come to the step number 3. Okay, so step number 3 is feedback. And this is the hardest bit for self-taught, anyone learning anything. Okay, so feedback is when someone else who is a specialist in that field, who will give you an honest opinion. Don't go to someone who's just gonna bash whatever you're doing and give you no good tips or direction of where to take this next, okay? Don't just show it to people that don't understand, because they're going to say, oh, that's great, but they can't help you. Usually, family, friends, those kind of people, okay? So ideally, you want a professional person who is an artist maybe, but also a teacher who can have a look at what you've done on your level number 2 and give you a feedback. Now, why is it very, very important? And why, if you don't have that step, that practicing that you've done, and you keep practicing, that practicing is not going to make things better. Okay? That practicing is going to make it where you feel frustrated, where you feel like every next brush that you buy is just a waste of money, nothing's working for you, nothing's happening. If you don't have feedback, you are repeating your own mistakes. That is especially true if you are actually wanting to learn. You're not just there to do one picture, like, oh, it's my mom's birthday, I have to paint something for her. So you find the tutorial step by step, you do that and you're done. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about actually learning. You need to make sure that all of these 3 things are there. and they're really, really calibrated between themselves. Because if you don't have the information, you're just practicing and you're getting feedback, you are not going to be progressing very well, because you need to see the information. You need to see how other people work. You need to find things. Doesn't mean that you have to copy everyone or everything you see, but you can pull things towards yourself that you really like, and you can bring them into your own practice. So that's very important. Now, if the step number 2 is missing, and that happens sometimes. A person watches all these videos. They sit there for 6 months watching things, while they're having dinner or whatever, while they're relaxing. They're constantly looking at so many different techniques, so many different products, but they don't practice enough. Then they go and they say, okay, I've been watching this for 6 months. I'm going to sit down and do a painting. You will do a painting, but it's not going to be very good, because practice is important. That's where you can put everything you've learned onto your paper or whatever it is, canvas, if you're using canvas. Number 3 thing, if that's missing and you don't get feedback, all you do is repeat your own mistakes. And I find this is the most common situation with being self-taught, where you are watching things, practicing, but it's just not enough. And then if you practice and practice and practice, and I can really see it sometimes in your comments, guys, like sometimes when you comment and it's this thing where I'm painting a lot and I'm painting all the time and I still can't get things to get that way. It's reading those comments actually that made me want to do this video. Make sure that you get feedback. How can you get feedback if you are self-taught? You can get it through doing some classes, maybe. Okay, especially if you get a good teacher, it will be very helpful. Maybe enroll onto like an online course. Some courses also offer feedback, so you can look for those ones. And you can always come to my Patreon. Okay, I do this on my Patreon page. At the moment, all people, all tiers can get feedback. All you have to do is be a pledging member. Get in touch with me, send me some photos of your art, and I'll be able to tell you what you can do to make this better. If you have any questions, for example, you try to do these washes and they always end up looking like this. You send me a picture, you tell me what you want, and I'll be able to actually film a video with showing you the specific techniques that will make your art better. Okay? I will also be able to give you guidance on what to do next, what step, you might be helpful for you to work on. So remember, even if you pledge the smallest pledge, you can just send me a message. Just let me know that this is what you want, and I'll be very happy to help you guys. So you can see how practice makes perfect is not always relevant, is it? Things to take away. Make it easier for yourself to become a self-taught anything. Get the right materials. You also would really benefit from setting up a right space. Doesn't have to be big, it just has to be inviting and inspiring. Maybe you can find unconventional, very special ways to make it easier to fit more practice. And also, I just want to mention, make sure that there are like these almost like three pillars of any kind of self-practice, and that's thought, emotion, and action. So if one of those pillars is not as strong as the others, if you have them unbalanced, things are not going to be very sound. Okay, so thought. This is where you compare things, where you investigate things, even maybe when you experiment with things, with a very set out purpose to learn, to understand materials, to understand techniques, and so on. Then you have the emotional pillar. That pillar is your inspiration. Knowing that what you're doing sits well with you, sits well with the world around you, looking at things, taking time to maybe go for walks to get some more inspiration, or visit places that are going to give you more inspiration, and just feel that you're in the right place. Even if you are struggling with something, just know that you are doing it for the better, to actually better yourself, to better your painting. If we're talking about painting, that is. Okay, and then the last pillar is action. Now, action is where that actual hands-on work that happens, okay? And again, it's not just finished works. Don't think of things that they should be, everything you paint should be framed and exhibited and sold or whatever, Like, I'm a professional artist and I sell not what I'm showing you on tutorials here, of course, but my actual art. Is every single thing that I do is out there to be sold? No. Most of the work, it's like behind the scenes. It's sketches, it's thinking through ideas, it's testing out colors, it's doing preliminary sketches, maybe trying things out, and then you do your final work. So don't feel that everything you do has to be worthy of a frame. Some things that you do are just there to be done, to get you, it's like a little step to get you to where you want to be. So don't feel that whatever you do should be done as a final thing. You can do a whole bunch of stuff that you don't even need to show anyone. I've got a whole bunch of books and things that are just there for me. These are my thoughts on paper. These are my sketches, my stuff. It's not going to be exhibited. It's there because I needed to help me maybe even organize my thoughts about, say, the next project I'm going to be doing, and so on. If these three things are in balance, you will you'll just propel. Your art is just going to go better and better and better every time. And if you add that 3-step solution, you will actually, guys, you will be unstoppable, okay? Like I'm telling you now, you will really, really, really take off. And you have to remember about a chain effect as well, because the faster you improve, the more excitement you are getting from it, so the more you're going to invest into it. So make sure that you keep up with those things. Keep them in mind. I mean, you don't need to stress out about it. But if you found yourself lacking in one of those things that I've mentioned, hopefully those things have helped you. And I want to say a big, big thank you to my wonderful patrons. It's because of your help, guys, I can make videos like this here on YouTube free for everyone to watch. So thank you so, so very much for your help. And if you are one of the viewers and you are interested in maybe supporting this channel or watching more videos on Patreon, perhaps you want some feedback, perhaps you want to play some of the games or suggest new topics, it's all over there. So go over there. I'd be very happy to greet you on Patreon. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. And remember, always use that section, the comment section under the video. It's like this video. It's your comments. It's the comments that give me those ideas that when I just understand, okay, lots of people need this. So I'll film something like that for you guys. Okay. So thank you very much. Lots of hugs. And I hope you get better and better every day. And I'm here to help if you need to get some help. I look forward to seeing you soon in the next video.